The morning after my wedding, I woke up believing my life had finally settled into something safe. My name is Hannah Mercer. I was 32, an elementary school teacher, and I had married Logan Pierce less than 24 hours earlier. Sunlight filled our bedroom. Logan was still asleep beside me, one arm thrown carelessly across the sheets, breathing slow and calm. He looked peaceful, like a man with nothing to hide. I slipped out of bed quietly, made tea, and cut a small piece of leftover wedding cake. I remember smiling to myself, thinking how strange it felt to call someone my husband. Then my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost ignored it. "Hello," I answered. "Miss Mercer?" a man asked. "This is Thomas Hale. I am the manager at Heritage Bistro. We hosted your wedding last night." I smiled. "Yes, thank you again. Everything was perfect." There was a pause, long enough to make my stomach tighten. "That is not why I am calling," he said. "We reviewed our security footage this morning. What we found involves your wedding." My heart skipped. "Involves how?" "I cannot explain over the phone, Miss Mercer. You need to come here and see it in person. Today." Then he lowered his voice. "Please come alone, and do not say a word to your husband." Behind me, the shower turned on. Logan was awake. And in that moment, my perfect new marriage cracked wide open. Before that phone call, I believed I knew exactly who my husband was. Logan Pierce came into my life quietly, almost gently. We met 6 months earlier at a small bookstore near downtown. I was searching for a teaching guide for my 3rd grade class. He was flipping through car magazines, grease still under his fingernails, wearing a shy smile that felt honest. He offered to help me reach a book on the top shelf. We started talking. It felt easy, natural, like two adults who did not need games. Logan listened when I spoke. He remembered details. He asked about my students, my parents, my day. He brought me coffee at school when I stayed late grading papers. When I was tired, he noticed. When I was stressed, he showed up. After years of being alone, that kind of attention felt like warmth after a long winter. He never rushed me physically, never pressured me. Instead, he talked about the future, about stability, about wanting something real. One night, barely a month into dating, he said he was serious about me, that he did not want to waste time pretending. My parents were cautious. My friends were surprised. 6 months felt fast. But with Logan, everything felt calm, predictable, safe. He did not drink much. He worked hard as a mechanic. He said he wanted a simple life, a wife, a home. I believed him. I believed that sometimes love really does arrive quietly, without drama. I believed that I had finally chosen right. And that belief made what came next unbearable. Our wedding night looked exactly the way people imagined happiness should look. We chose a small restaurant called Heritage Bistro because it felt warm and personal. No grand ballroom, no luxury decorations, just close friends, family, and soft lights glowing around a quiet courtyard. There were about 40 guests, my parents, Logan's parents, a few coworkers from my school, his friends from the auto shop, and my bridesmaids including Vanessa Reed, a friend I had known since college. When my father walked me down the aisle, his hands trembled slightly. He whispered that I looked beautiful and that he was proud of me. I had to bite my lip to keep from crying. Then I saw Logan standing at the front, tall in his navy suit, eyes fixed on me as if I were the only person in the room. He smiled like a man deeply in love. The ceremony was simple. The vows were heartfelt. When he slid the ring onto my finger, he squeezed my hand and whispered that he would always protect me. During our first dance, he pulled me close and told me he was the happiest man alive. People recorded us on their phones. Someone wiped away tears. It felt like a moment meant to last forever. But there were small things I ignored. Vanessa laughed too loudly. She touched Logan's arm when she spoke to him. At one point, she wrapped her arms around his shoulders and joked that he was lucky to have me. I noticed it, but I brushed it off. Vanessa had always been that way, confident, physical, comfortable with attention. I told myself I was being silly. I was a bride. Emotional, tired. Later, when I danced with my father, Logan stepped away for a while. He said he needed to take a work call outside. I did not question it. Why would I? That night, surrounded by smiles and music, I believed I was the luckiest woman in the room. I did not know that while we celebrated love, something ugly was already hiding in the shadows. The apartment we came home to that night was mine. A modest 2-bedroom condo on the 4th floor of a brick building near downtown. Nothing fancy, but it was warm, paid off, and filled with memories. I inherited it from my grandmother 3 years earlier. She had worked her entire life as a bookkeeper, careful with every dollar. Before she passed, she made me promise never to sell it. "This place is your safety," she told me. "No matter what happens, you will always have a roof over your head." I kept that promise. I renovated slowly, new wallpaper, simple furniture, a small kitchen table by the window. It felt like home because it was built with patience and care. Logan used to say that was what he loved most about it, that it felt real, honest, like a place meant for family. Before we married, he rented a tiny studio far from the city. He said it was temporary, that he was saving, that things would get better. So when we talked about living together, the decision felt practical. Why waste money on rent when we already had a place? I believed marriage meant sharing everything: trust, space, life. What I did not understand then was that I was not bringing love into the marriage. I was bringing security. And to the wrong person, security looks a lot like opportunity. I drove to the restaurant with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Heritage Bistro was closed during the day. The parking lot was empty. Chairs were stacked inside, and the warmth from the night before was gone, replaced by silence and the sharp smell of cleaning products. Mr. Thomas Hale met me at the door. He looked tired, older than he had the night before. "You should sit down before you see this," he said quietly. That was when fear truly settled in my chest. He led me down a narrow hallway past the kitchen and into a small office at the back. A laptop sat open on the desk. The screen was paused on a black and white image. Mr. Hale hesitated before speaking. "I want you to know I debated calling you at all, but if this were my daughter, I would want someone to tell her." He pressed play. The video showed a storage room, shelves, boxes, a small couch in the corner. The time stamp read 9:43 p.m. My mind raced. That was when I had been dancing with my father. The door opened. Vanessa walked in first, tight dress, confident steps. She glanced behind her before stepping fully inside. Then Logan followed. My Logan. He closed the door behind him. I felt my breath leave my body as if someone had punched me. Vanessa said something I could not hear yet. She placed her hands on his chest. He wrapped his arms around her waist. They kissed. Not a mistake, not a brief slip. A long, deliberate kiss, the kind shared by people who had done this before. My ears rang, my vision blurred. I wanted to look away, but I could not. They sat on the couch. She handed him a cigarette. They laughed, relaxed, comfortable. Like this was normal. Like I did not exist. I whispered that this had to be a misunderstanding, that there must be an explanation. Mr. Hale said nothing. Then he reached for the volume control. "I am going to turn the sound on now," he said gently. And that was when my marriage truly ended. When the sound came on, there was no room left for denial. At first, their voices were low, almost casual, like two people unwinding after a long day. Vanessa laughed and said she thought she was going to lose it watching him dance with me all night. She said pretending to be my friend made her sick. Logan chuckled. He told her to relax, that everything was going exactly as planned. Planned? That word echoed in my head. Vanessa asked how much longer they had to keep up the act, when he was finally going to divorce me. Logan answered calmly, like he was explaining a simple schedule. He said first I would sign the condo over to him, that he had already started planting the idea, joint ownership, equality in marriage, words he knew I believed in. He laughed and called me trusting, said I would walk into the county office myself within weeks. My hands clenched so hard my nails dug into my palms. Vanessa asked what would happen after the divorce. Logan said the condo would stay his, that they would sell it, buy something better, live off the rest. Then he said the sentence that broke something deep inside me. He said marrying a teacher was easy, that I was lonely, predictable, grateful for attention. He said I was boring. They laughed together. They talked about children like an inconvenience, about my life like it was a problem to be solved. I realized then that none of it was real, not the bookstore meeting, not the late night talks, not the vows. I was never his wife. I was his plan. When the video ended, the room was silent. I sat there staring at the screen, feeling something shift inside me. The tears stopped. In their place came something colder. Clearer. I did not scream. I did not beg. I understood one thing with terrifying certainty. They thought I was weak. And they were wrong. I left the restaurant without knowing how my body was still moving. The flash drive felt heavy in my pocket, like it carried more than just a video. It carried the truth, and the truth burned. I did not go home. I drove to my parents' apartment instead, the place where I had grown up, the place that had always been safe. My mother opened the door and knew something was wrong before I said a word. My father stood up the moment he saw my face. When I showed them the recording, my mother cried. My father went silent. His hands shook with anger. He said he wanted to confront Logan immediately, to drag him out and make him pay. I stopped him. If I faced Logan now, I knew what would happen. He would lie, he would cry, he would apologize and promise to change. Men like him always have words ready. And for a brief moment I might doubt myself. I would not give him that chance. That night, sitting at my parents' kitchen table, something inside me settled. The pain was still there, but it was no longer in control. I realized I did not want a private apology. I wanted the truth in the open. I wanted Logan and Vanessa to feel what I had felt, exposed, powerless, seen for who they truly were. That was when the plan formed. Quietly, carefully. I was done being the woman people underestimated. And this time I would not stay silent. The plan was simple. That was what made it work. People sometimes host a second celebration after a wedding, a casual night, a chance for everyone to relax. No one would find it strange. I told Logan I wanted to thank everyone properly, that the wedding night had gone by too fast, that I wanted one more evening with the people we loved. He did not hesitate. Of course, he said, "You are always thoughtful like that." Those words almost made me laugh. I contacted the restaurant again. Mr. Hale agreed to help without asking questions. He already knew the truth. We booked the same room, the same tables, a light buffet, drinks, nothing excessive, just enough to gather everyone in one place. Then I started calling the guests. Friends, family, co-workers, Logan's parents, his friends from the shop. Everyone sounded happy to be invited. Vanessa was especially enthusiastic. She joked that I was spoiling everyone, that I was the perfect wife. I smiled while she spoke. Logan never suspected a thing. He kissed my cheek, made weekend plans, talked about our future like it was still real. I watched him carefully during those days, the ease of his lies, the comfort of his deception. And I understood something important. If I had confronted him privately, he would have twisted the story. But this time there would be no room to hide. By the time Saturday arrived, everything was ready. All I had to do was show up and let the truth speak for itself. The restaurant filled faster than I expected. By 7 o'clock, every table was occupied. Laughter floated through the room. Glasses clinked. People congratulated us again, smiling as if nothing in the world was wrong. Logan sat at the center table, relaxed and confident, telling stories from the auto shop. Vanessa arrived late, dressed to be noticed, and slipped into a chair beside him like she belonged there. I watched them from across the room, my heart steady in a way that surprised me. When everyone had eaten and settled in, I walked to the front of the room. The screen stood behind me, blank and innocent. I thanked everyone for coming. I said how grateful I was for their support and love. Logan smiled at me, proud. Then I said I wanted to share a short video from our wedding night, something the restaurant staff had found while reviewing footage. I nodded toward the manager. The screen lit up. At first, people leaned forward with interest. Then the storage room appeared. Vanessa walked in. Logan followed. The kiss happened. A sharp gasp rippled through the room. Someone dropped a fork. Logan stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly against the floor. "What is this?" he shouted. "Turn it off." No one moved. The sound came on. Vanessa's voice filled the room, complaining about pretending, about watching him dance with me. Logan's voice followed, calm, calculated, explaining the plan. Faces changed as the words sank in. Shock turned to disbelief, disbelief turned to anger. Logan's mother covered her mouth. His father stared at the screen like he did not recognize his own son. Vanessa tried to stand, but no one looked at her with sympathy. The room was silent except for the truth, and it was loud enough to destroy everything. When the video ended, no one spoke. The screen went dark, but the damage was already done. Logan stood frozen, his face drained of color. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. I stepped forward and removed the ring from my finger. I placed it on the table in front of him. "This marriage is over," I said calmly. "I am filing for divorce on Monday." He reached for my hand, panic finally breaking through his mask. "Hannah, wait, I can explain." I pulled away. You planned to steal my home. You lied to my face. You humiliated me behind my back. There is nothing left to explain." I turned to Vanessa. "You were my friend. You stood beside me at my wedding, and you laughed while you planned to destroy my life." She looked around the room, desperate, but no one defended her. Logan's father stepped forward and told him to leave, to pack his things and get out of my home that night. Logan did not argue. He could not. As he walked toward the door, people moved aside as if he carried something poisonous. I watched him go and felt something unexpected. Relief. Not loud, not dramatic. Just clean and final. For the first time in days I could breathe. Logan was gone before midnight. When I returned to the condo with my parents, his shoes were missing, his clothes were gone from the closet, the bathroom shelf was empty. It felt strange how quickly someone could erase himself from a life he had claimed to want forever. The next few days passed in a blur. I stayed with my parents for a while. They did not ask many questions. They did not push advice. They simply stayed close. On Monday morning, I went to work. My students ran toward me like they always did, eager to show me drawings and spelling tests. Their voices filled the classroom, grounding me in something real and honest. Life did not stop because my marriage had ended. Logan did not fight the divorce. He signed the papers without a word. The condo remained mine, just as it had always been. Friends checked in. Some apologized for not seeing the signs. Others simply listened. At night, the apartment was quiet, too quiet at first. But slowly, the silence stopped feeling lonely. It began to feel peaceful. I realized something important during those weeks. The hardest part was not losing a husband. It was losing the illusion I had trusted. And once that illusion was gone, everything else became lighter. Time did not erase what happened, but it changed how it lived inside me. I learned that kindness without boundaries invites the wrong people. I learned that being calm does not mean being weak, and I learned that silence is only powerful when it is chosen. For a long time, I believed strength had to be loud, that standing up for yourself meant yelling or fighting back. I was wrong. Strength can be quiet, it can be patient, it can wait until the truth has nowhere left to hide. Logan thought my trust made me easy to use. Vanessa thought my kindness made me blind. What they did not understand was that I was watching, learning, deciding. I did not need revenge fueled by rage. I needed honesty placed in the open. That truth protected my home, my future, my sense of self. If you are listening to this and you feel underestimated or dismissed, remember this. Being underestimated gives you time, and time gives you power. Today I live alone again, and for the first time in a long while that feels right. My home is still mine. My life is quieter, more intentional, more honest. I am not bitter, I am not angry, I am simply awake. What happened to me did not break me, it clarified me. If this story reached you, maybe it is because you needed to hear it. Maybe you are questioning someone, or doubting yourself, or standing at the edge of a decision you are afraid to make. Trust yourself, pay attention to actions, and never ignore that quiet voice inside you. If you found this story meaningful, support the channel with a like, share it with someone who might need it, and tell me in the comments where you are watching from and what this story made you think about. 2 more life stories are waiting for you on the screen. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon.